Hey guys, it's me, the Afro Samurai, and today we're looking at these. The last time I talked about my TMA-2s was when I was unboxing them and building them up, and when I had my first impressions. And my first impressions were good. I liked how they sounded. I liked their wireless plus feature, but now we get to go into a bit more of a long-term review. I've had these for a few months now. I've used them for some mixing. I've used them for my music. I've used them just to listen to. So I'm going to give you a bit more of a walkthrough and a review of each of the bits of this and tell you whether I think they're worth the £300 asking price. I'm going to start with the feature that AIAIAI actually talk about the most, which is their wireless plus technology. Basically, you have the headphones. This headband has all of the technology inside of it. You plug this into the audio output of whatever it is that you want to use, and then you turn this on, you turn that on, they pair up together, and then you get a good connection. And generally it works really well. However, this has good range, but I find that sometimes it will just pretend like it's reconnected while you're using them. It makes the little beep on here, makes the little success tone, even though they're still connected. The audio still plays underneath. I'm not 100% sure why. I find that if I turn the headphones up while it's using the wireless plus feature, there's little controls here. If I turn the headphones up, then I start to get signal noise. Even when I'm just waiting to connect to this, I have to have these at about their mid-level and then turn it up on the computer to get a decent volume out of them. Granted, if you had this plugged into something like a mixer or an audio interface and you had that set to maximum, you very likely would turn these down to actually have it at a level that works with your ears. The Bluetooth on this, astounding. Stays connected perfectly. To summarize the experience with the wireless plus technology, it's extremely convenient, and in my opinion, even with the occasional dropouts that I get, I think I've had 3 or 4 notable times that has happened over the amount of time that I've owned these. It's still really convenient, and I think it's worth the convenience, even with having to do a little bit of the volume gymnastics. The next thing to talk about with these is comfort, and these are really comfortable. They're not the most comfortable headphones I've ever worn, because I own many different headphones and I've tried lots of different headphones, but they're definitely up there in terms of studio headphones. They have a clamping force. Once you find your adjustment, it's quite nice. I don't like that it doesn't have fluid adjustment, but I do understand that because you kind of need to build these up and down, that maybe having fluid adjustment wouldn't give them that same level of ruggedness while still maintaining their serviceability. On saying that, I've been able to find an absolutely fine amount of adjustment, both for when I have my afro actually out and when I'm maybe wearing a do-rag or a hat. They've been absolutely fine to wear, and I've been able to wear them for a good few hours and not really feel like I get tired of wearing them or that they hurt. This is all based off of the Alcantara earpads. The leather ones, kind of similar, except that I find that they get a little bit warmer. Also, it's not real leather, it's PU leather, it's vegan leather, so it's all good. Vegan leather? Vegan leather, you knew what I mean. Going from comfort, we're going to talk about the build quality. I feel like these are built very well. I'm not the person who will throw headphones everywhere. I am relatively careful with them. I did get a hard case for them rather than the soft case that they come with, but I would think that I'd be able to throw these into a bag all right. I don't like that they don't fold up, but yet again, serviceable, meant to be rebuildable. I get why they don't fold up. The matte finish on them doesn't pick up fingerprints, but it does pick up if you have clammy hands or if you've just moisturized. So if you moisturize your hands, maybe wait a little bit. Either that or just don't be precious because they're on your head and they're used as a tool and they're absolutely fine. I love the fact that everything is made to be easily replaceable. I can just take those off, no problem. And these are the easiest headphones to do a swap of the earpads on, because the earpads themselves have 4 little nubs on them, and you just snap it into the holes in the speakers. So you can get your different earpads, like my leather earpads, and pop them on, and away you go. I have never used a headphone that has earpads that are that easy to replace since the TMA-1s. It's also easy to unplug and then take off the speaker units, so I can unplug them and take them straight off, and it always makes sure that you can tell which side actually goes onto the speaker, because there's a little red on the inside. You slide it on, you plug in the little red for your right side, and that's it. You have your speaker back. So if any of your speakers ever misbehave, you just buy that again. That's what I really like about these, is that they are meant to be modular, replaceable and repairable headphones. And I think that, especially from the perspective of environment, it's a win. Yeah, again, I don't think you'd find a problem just throwing these into a bag completely without any protection on them. I just like having cases with it because I like them looking like how they do currently. And I don't want to scratch them yet. I haven't found a sticker that I can put onto them. So overall, with the sound of them, I'd say that they're relatively flat with a slight scoop out of the mids when you're using the Alcantara earpads. And when you're using the PU leathers, those help to boost up a little bit more of that bass region. I find that their mids being recessed a bit kind of makes it difficult to get your mix done with other instruments. But if you spend enough time listening to these with just general music, or if you spend enough time mixing with these and then checking your translation on either your speakers or your car or something like that, you're generally going to get the idea of what these sound like. Also, if you have Sound ID reference, which I do, it makes these a lot easier because you can get the curves for these, the headphone profiles that they have, and you can use that to correct them. And the ones for the Studio XE work if you have these headphones with the leather ear cups. The Studio works if you have them with the Alcantara, because they sound the same as they would cabled or with Wireless Plus. As a side note, I've now got an affiliate link with Sound ID reference, so if you actually wanted to give it a try, feel free to use the affiliate link down below. I'm not sure whether it counts, whether you get a trial or whether you buy it, but just try it anyway. Genuinely, I think it's a good tool. There's things that the website will tell you from its frequency response graph, in that it's relatively flat with a little bit of a scoop in the mids, but what it won't tell you is the experience when it comes to isolation. What's great is that I have both the Alcantara earpads and also the leather earpads, and I have switched between them to see how they behave. On their website, they say that the leather earpads give you the best isolation from the outside world. And as much as they isolate more than the Alcantara ones, they are by no means sound tight. I was doing some mixing while my girlfriend was watching some TV. I had these ones on and she said that she could hear them, and I was at like a relatively normal amount of volume. I switched to these and she could still hear it a little bit. It was a lot less, but she could still hear it. I could also still hear the TV through them, so it didn't really help enough. Of course, that's moderately fine for mixing, because you can decide to go into a quieter space. If I was mixing in like an office environment or something, I'm sure that these would be able to block enough out that the sound would do the rest of the job. But if you're doing things like recording audio through a microphone, this isn't going to be good enough, and therefore the TMA-2s are generally not going to be for you. You're going to want something like maybe Sennheiser's HD, is it like the 280 Pros or something, that go around the ear and have really good isolation. It probably comes from the fact that these are comfortable and don't have a huge amount of clamping force, which means that it doesn't necessarily squeeze the earpad up against your face and therefore make that isolation. It could also be genuinely because, around my ear, I have an afro. So even if I push all of this up and then put it there, there's still hair in its way, and maybe it likes just having skin contact to make the isolation work. I don't know. So my summary for these: £300, really good price for everything that they do, which is being good sounding, relatively neutral studio headphones that give you that wireless plus functionality and are also modular. You don't need to worry about replacing the entire thing, you just replace individual bits, and that's very good for being friendly to the planet. If what you're looking for is that list of stuff, get them, because they are very good. The wireless plus functionality, even with those dropouts that I've had, is absolutely brilliant. Even with the slight noise that I talked about, you only get that if you turn these up that high, and you can turn these down, turn the source up, and then you're done. If what you're looking for is not the wireless plus functionality and you don't care about Bluetooth either, then you can get the cabled ones of these for like £200, or you can change their headband out to make them a little bit cheaper. At that price, it becomes a bit more difficult to suggest. They have a very specific sound that I don't think I've heard anywhere else and I quite enjoy, but then I make a lot of house music and electronic music. If you make something like a bit more classical music or you do a bit more of rock music and so on, you might want to look elsewhere because I'm not sure if this sound would suit that type of music. One really cool thing these do, you can plug a jack into either ear cup. That's brilliant because sometimes my headphone jack will be on the right hand side, sometimes it'll be on the left, and sometimes I just won't want to use wireless plus or I'll have forgotten to charge them up, and being able to cable them wherever I want is pretty cool. It also means if one of these breaks, I don't have to care because I have the other one. Did you like this video? If you'd like to support me financially, you can do so through Ko-fi, either as a one-time thing or on a subscription basis. I absolutely don't mind either way. Even if you don't do anything, it's cool. I'm just happy that you've decided to watch. Thank you very much for watching. Enjoy the rest of your day. Cool.